Hi, welcome to the Divorce Couch. My name is Simone and I'm the divorce coach in Germany, currently in Ireland.
Hi, and my name is Salma and I'm a divorce coach based in London, also currently in Ireland.
And hi, my name is Claire. I'm a divorce coach living in Coleraine in Northern Ireland, and these people are in my path.
Today we would like to talk about the importance of supporting a friend or a colleague going through divorce. You could be also a grandparent. So I think we all had experienced our divorce, and now in hindsight, I think it is a really important topic. What would have been amazing? What can we now say was really helpful for somebody who's going through divorce, which is probably more of a practical approach. What do you think?
Yeah. And this is, very much not from a coach perspective or a therapist perspective. It's about
lived experience.
Yeah, it's about from friends, right? People, friends, family, the people around you that, rely on you, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or not even necessarily rely on you, but the people that I think when we see somebody that we care about around us going through something, like a divorce, you want to sometimes help them. You don't always know what to do.
Yeah.
It's a very sensitive, emotive topic. And I think people often find themselves thinking, oh my God, how do I help this person?
Yeah.
Well, I find being the independent person that I was, I didn't know how to ask for help.
No.
So when people said to me, if you need anything anytime, just give me a ring.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with that. So because it's funny, even recently I was going somewhere and somebody said, why didn't you ring me? I'd have driven you. And I thought, really? Why would you drive me? Because I've never given myself permission to ask somebody to do something. I just tend to think, how do I do it first? So when I look back at, 2 small children, moving into a new house, I had changed my job. I had so much change and I didn't know how to ask. And so when I was given these wonderful, wonderful gifts of, if you need anything day or night, give me a ring, I didn't know what to do with them. And to be honest, I don't think I did anything with them. But I did have, some people would have rocked up with dinner or said, I'm going to pick up the kids after school. So that I was able to say, yes, thank you. Because that was something that required a yes or no response. I didn't have to think about it. And now looking back, since then, and I have known other people going through a divorce, I think, what can I do that might help, that would be practical? I love cooking. So it's kind of like a default of mine. I'll rock up with something. But it is one of those things when you feel quite helpless because, if it's your work colleague or your sister or something, the world crashes in on somebody who's going through a divorce. The overwhelm it's like a tsunami of a tidal wave, and somebody doesn't know how to ask for help. Because to be honest with you, I don't think I knew what help I needed. Would you too?
No, I agree. And it could have not only been the divorce journey, it could be your default personality anyhow,
Absolutely.
right? Not to be able to ask him for help, but to be the person who is always there for other people. And now in that situation to ask for help, that's difficult. That's probably that's a growth chapter right there.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it was very much about proving to myself that I was strong enough to do this. So reaching out for help, although there were lots of people around me, for me, it was almost like a survival tactic. Like yourself, people would say, you call me anytime, right?
Yeah.
But I felt like I wanted to prove to myself that I was going to be okay. Yeah. I was going to get through this. And I don't think, and when people would turn up, it was almost like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I was just about to say, there were friends that I have that literally rang the doorbell. So we had no arrangement. And if somebody had phoned to say, can we meet for coffee? I might have said, oh, I'm doing this or something. But some people just decided to ignore all of that and just rang the doorbell, and I'd open the door and I'd go, oh, because having a physical person just there didn't need to have anything more.
No,
they didn't need to do anything. But that sense of Oh, because I certainly wouldn't have asked, and I would have thought I'm putting somebody out, or so
They're
that
busy.
yeah, so that for me was
Yeah.
huge when somebody just took it upon themselves and just turned up at the door,
Yeah.
just for 5 minutes or longer to go, just checking in.
I think this is really not going out to divorcees. This is really going out to everybody who witnesses in their environment. Our world is so fast paced, and we always want to make sure that everybody is okay so I can handle and deal with my own life. Because you know what, we all have our own challenges, but there are people going through certain life experiences that are incredibly challenging. Divorce is one of them. It could be depressive episodes. It could be death of a loved one. There are so many,
Yes.
and I
Or
think
an
it
ill-health
is,
diagnosis or something.
or a diagnosis. And I think this is to everybody who knows of somebody. You know what? There is a study, and I love that one. They have found out that the sheer fact of holding someone's hands, if they get a diagnosis, only the nurse holding the hand of the patient who has just received a diagnosis makes the patient feel 40% more heard and loved and respected. Now imagine that would be somebody you know.
Yeah.
So it is just the touch. I think we in the Western culture we don't touch a lot. You know what? And then the next level would probably be then being this listening, not just hearing you, or the other way around, right? It's just basically, in the previous episode, we talked about connectivity. This is all about connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And, I have to say, I've probably slipped now, but I had gone through a phase when I thought if somebody's name comes into my head for whatever reason, if I'm driving or if I'm at home and I think of somebody, I would just shoot them a message. A text really quickly, just to say, just checking in to see how you are, thinking about you, and nothing more. Didn't need to be anything long. And I had quite a lot of people that came back to me and said, thank you so much, that was so lovely. And I admit I have slipped now, but that doesn't mean that it has to have a reason for a text. But we never, I think we can really underestimate the impact in somebody's world when they might feel like they're drowning of just the touch base. Not necessarily having to have a reason.
I think the important thing for me at that time was I had lots of people around me that were willing to listen to me, but also present me with solutions.
Oh, yeah, that's not a good one, though.
In an attempt to say, oh, I know you feel really rubbish right now, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Or, let's just do this. Let's just do that.
Time will heal.
Sometimes,
you've heard that.
Sometimes you just want to sit there with your friend and you just want to allow them to put their head on your shoulder and just cry. And sometimes that is all that person needs at that time. They don't want you to tell them that it's going to be okay, that they're going to feel better, that, this will pass. Actually, what I really wanted at that time was someone to just listen to me and not say anything.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah.
But I had lots of people around me that were willing to listen to me, but also in their attempt to try and make things better for me. The intention was in the right place. They wanted to take my pain away and say, why don't you do this? And I'd be like sitting there going, but I don't want to do anything right now besides sit here and just cry.
But this is our word, right? This is, when you look at this positive psychology, we have to be happy all the time. We give ourselves so little space for situations that come with sadness.
Because when we talk about grieving, when someone passes away, by default, we think it's okay to sit with somebody and allow them to just cry. It's almost like we accept that that's allowed to be done, right? Somebody is sad, they're never going to see this person again. We will not happy, but what I mean is we're comfortable allowing the other person to sit and cry.
It's like in culture, it's an accepted thing to do at that time, isn't it? Yeah.
But we are also grieving when we're coming out of divorce.
Oh, hugely.
But our friends and our family will automatically go into this behavior where, right, how can we help her fix this?
It's kind of like an IKEA shelf.
Yeah.
Okay, it's broken. So let's get a new desk.
So I think that's the first thing that I would suggest is try to be aware of what that person needs at that moment in time. Maybe they just want to
Yeah.
all of their emotions.
So a colleague might not do that. What could we say? What would be,
And ask
or
them.
put a colleague? Yeah, no, but just
Ask
to,
them,
yeah.
what do you want at this moment in time? Because I remember that was a game changer for one of my sisters, and this was quite late on. Because one of the things that I would always, my brother is, maybe because he's a man and he's very few words, he was the kind of person that would sit on the sofa and just listen. He didn't really know what to say, but I found that incredibly comforting, that I could just sit there and just cry and moan and groan, and he would not, say anything.
It sounds like a journal book.
Right? Yeah. And then one day my sister said to me, I said to her, I wish there was somebody that would just stop telling me what it is that I need to do. And she said, do I do that? And I said, yeah.
Moment of truth.
Yeah. I said, yeah, you do. And she said, do you not want me to do that? And I said, no, I just want you to just not give
I
me
can
solutions.
feel the drop in energy.
Yeah.
With you having space to say, no, it's like you don't have to, this internal tension of, no, I don't want to do that, which creates.
Yeah. And I said to her, when I want a solution from you, because she's a very practical, rational, solution focused person. And I said to her, when I want a solution from you, I'll ask you.
So then that means I could then offer the person, would you like me to just sit there?
Yeah.
Or would you like my feedback? Would you like a response from me?
What permission,
right? Yes.
Quite similar to what we do as coaches, right?
Yeah.
When our clients are talking to us, even as coaches, we ask them permission. That, would you like me to tell you what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes they'll say, yes, please. They also have the right to say, no, actually, I don't want to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's because they're not ready to hear it or see it. And it's their protection mechanism. But as coaches, we respect that.
Yes.
A good question to ask on a practical level, if it is a work colleague or a family member or a friend, is how can I help?
Yes.
When you ask, how can I help? I don't know if you ever watched the series New Amsterdam.
No.
The senior doctor consultant who runs the hospital goes around, how can I help? And I started to mull over that quite a bit, because that's an open question that somebody has free permission to think. How can you help? I don't know how you can help. Well, actually, so it's a good question that doesn't require any answer, but gives somebody the space to feel that somebody identifies that their world is not easy.
And when it comes to work colleagues, I mean, when you work on a team, you can actually proactively offer, what, is there something that I can help you on with your project? Because, we know that work will decline and your attention span will decline. And I think that would be probably great to just say, what, I'm happy. Is there anything with your work that I can maybe help you with?
Can I step into this meeting
for you? Yeah.
Or,
or even make you a coffee and just put a coffee on your desk.
Yeah.
Because I had just changed jobs when I separated from my ex-husband. I had literally changed jobs. So my entire work world support had changed, and I didn't know these people and they didn't know me. And suddenly this happened. And it was things like that. Somebody would bring a coffee down to me in a clinic and just put it on the desk and walk away. That was lovely.
Yeah. I can think of, if you are a employer or a team leader, I know this is maybe not according to union standards, but if you feel your employee, your team member needs maybe a day off, ask them, what, I don't know whether that's possible, or do you need a couple of hours because you need to see your lawyer, or do you need to go to court?
I have been told to go home by my manager.
Wow. So he basically, but as a supportive suggestion.
I would, I sort of used to force myself to go into work, and there were some days where I really should not have been at work. I should have been at home under the duvet. And I remember on one occasion just being like, I wasn't crying or anything, but I think visibly it must have been very obvious that she's not really here. And I remember my manager just coming up to me very quietly saying, would you like to go home? And I looked up at him and I said, yes. But so to be able to, I think, yes, you are a manager. Yes, you are an employer. But first and foremost, you're a human being.
Now imagine what that does
Yeah.
to the person under distress to feel seen and heard.
Yeah.
That alone is for the divorcee such an important
Enormous, isn't it?
experience. So now, oh God, I am not alone. There are
Yeah.
actually people by my side who see my pain and my
And
struggle.
actually, if you have an employee that's sitting in the office, not really there, but there physically, they're not much use to you. Right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to perform. They're not going to be able to like do the work to the standard that you may require. There's more, especially in your field, there's even more chance of mistakes being made that are going to have a wider impact. Okay, in mine, I might have just, deleted the whole entire database.
A couple of billions just lost, right?
Wiped off. But in your case, it was literally life-threatening situations here. And to recognize that somebody might need space to just go and put their head back together again. I think we need to go back to being human.
But that's the importance.
Absolutely.
That's the importance of us doing our divorce couch and being divorce coaches, is raising the profile of how complex a divorce journey actually is. It's multifactorial, and it impacts every single level as a human that you have, regardless of the circumstances, I think, because our circumstances could be different, but the impact of having to start again, having to find an identity, somewhere to live, finances, children, friends, it impacts so much. And as a nurse, we were always taught, you have to leave your personal life at the door and then you come into work because of the nature of what we do.
Yeah.
But there are some personal situations on certain days that you just can't. Is it the day before you go into court? Is it the day after you've done the finances? There are certain days that you can't expect that just hit you like a whammy. And it is that important thing of when do we be human?
Yeah.
Over and above the role, when are we human?
Yeah.
And, when I look at the concept of a family member, some people in a family may not think divorce is, what's the word I would use? Is an acceptable pathway because maybe you haven't tried to work it out. So guilt and shame comes into it.
Yeah, big one.
So if a family member is going through a divorce, rather than trying to understand their world, because you're looking for something from the person, to just say to them, I don't understand what's going on, but I'm here.
Yeah.
And start with that.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard for somebody on a divorce journey to explain sometimes what they can't actually put language on at the time.
And it's not about you at that moment, right? Very often, they have their own pain. I understand this, but this is not about your pain. Whatever you believe, whether or not that should happen or not, it has happened. It was inevitable, whatever. That's the reality. It is not about you.
Yeah.
You are not in that focus of the pain.
And sometimes the details are not important. You're already there.
Yeah.
And this is, one thing that I talk to my clients about is, because in the Asian community, it's very much about everybody has an opinion on whether you should divorce or you shouldn't have divorced or, what you could have done differently. And I always say to them that, my default answer to that is, if you're not going home and walking the shoes that I have walked every day for me to come to this decision, then you don't have an opinion on whether I should stay or should go. Because what we see on the surface isn't always.
Oh, it's not a reflection.
We can't. The relationship and the dynamics that goes on between a couple behind closed doors. I could sit here and talk to you two who probably know more about me than most people in this world. And I could never, ever tell you the intricacies of the conflict and the hurt that we caused each other when we were in the marriage.
Yeah.
Because you can't possibly verbalize all of those tiny, tiny, tiny things that led you to the point where you decided to step out.
And what goes on behind closed doors.
Yes.
And that brings me to the next level. If you don't have anything to say that is in your eye supportive, then shut up. Don't say anything. I never thought. I thought you were so good, or you were the perfect couple.
It's not helpful.
It's not helpful.
Now take away. And another one that I find really important, and I don't know whether we said this before. Don't, just because you have maybe even experienced your own divorce, or you have heard of another divorce, does not make you a professional giving any kind of suggestion when it comes to the legal aspects of divorce, how custody should be dealt with, how maintenance should be dealt with, and how money. You might have an idea and you might suggest, you know what, and what I love is then to say, you know what, I think it's incredibly helpful if you have a notebook. Why don't you just, you know what, if you have a lawyer, ask him that. But you know what, when I was going through my divorce in Singapore, I have been confronted with so many ideas of what happened with others, and that I think that had really corrupted also my ex-husband's idea of how things should go about, and they were so far away from what I feel was really beneficial to the family and to the change of the status quo that was about to happen. And
it also impacts expectations, doesn't it?
Oh, very.
Because somebody's expectations can shift and change. If you say, oh, this happened to my sister and she was like this, and this is the outworking. If a person in their own situation hooks onto somebody else's story and gets an expectation of this is possible and this might happen, and it doesn't work out like that, there's more emotions to unpack. And disappointment on top of it in the middle of your divorce journey is like, it's like just going down from the top of a roller coaster straight down drop. It's that feeling of, oh, and then you have to bring yourself up slowly again. And I have to say that, you know, it's as a nurse, I look at it and I think somebody's just been diagnosed with bowel cancer. And so many people jump in and go, oh, my dad had it and my sister had it and this happened. And it's like, everybody's journey is different and everybody responds differently to treatment options, to drugs, to everything. A divorce journey is the same. It's the same. We all respond differently because our makeup is different. The way we view the world is different. Our support system is different. Our nervous system is different. And allowing someone the space to just be heard for just that. Because sometimes, and I will hold my hand up and say guilty as charged here. You know, somebody says something and I go, oh, do you know, this happened to me. And I now try and rein it in and go, actually, really? Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that, because my story is not relevant. The person I'm speaking to will probably not feel seen or heard if I come in with my story.
No.
And allowing someone space to be seen and heard doesn't mean you have to do anything, because this sense of, oh, this happened is sometimes more about making us feel better.
But in terms of supporting, you know, somebody that you know through that, like you said, you know, don't give them your legal perspective, because, unless you're a solicitor, of course, you might have a legal perspective. But if you're not a solicitor, you're not a therapist, you're not a divorce specialist, but that person isn't at that moment in time able to do the research and reach out, maybe that's how you help them. To say,
that's a good
guys,
one.
You know, do you want me to maybe get some numbers together so you could speak to them? Because sometimes you just need that little nudge. That task of doing that task of even getting on Google and searching for family solicitor is such a big deal at that moment in time. You don't have the emotional bandwidth. But if somebody comes to you and says, look, here's a few numbers you might want to contact. Not here's a few numbers that I've used. Here's a few people. Do you want to reach out to them? Would you like me to book you some appointments? But leave it to them. But what you're doing is you're slowly edging them so that they can start helping themselves. Right?
I think, coming to an end, what I'm hearing here is, you know what, be compassionate. You know what, if you hear of anybody going through the divorce, ask yourself, maybe if I was in that position, what would I really want, or what would be helpful, or what would I need? You know what, and you probably very quickly, even if you don't ask for help, that could be a very good one to say, I kind of actually would have loved, you know what, people to step into my world and offer me help, like what you said, cook meals, or do children pickup, you know what, drop them off.
Do you know what comes to my mind is one of the things we did during the coach training was the drama triangle, which is, are you being a rescuer? We all love being rescuers. Right? We all love thinking, oh, I've helped this person. Or are you being a facilitator? And I think that's the question we have to keep asking ourselves. Because when you're rescuing somebody, you're not instilling them with the ability to then do it themselves.
Yeah, and don't become a pursuer. You know?
Yeah. But when you become a facilitator, you're helping that person start moving towards helping themselves. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Their world has just been shaken.
Mhm.
They need a ground. They need to believe the
another
world.
thing, just, I know we're closing,
no, good.
is that some of my friends did for me, and I do now when I'm communicating with friends or colleagues, is bring up how far somebody has come.
Mm.
On a divorce journey, it's
Celebrate
so easy. Yeah, it's so easy to look at where you are and think, oh gosh, this is just awful, and I'm still the same. And for somebody to say, but look back 3 months and see where you were, and look how much your world has improved or changed. I wasn't able to do it, but when somebody asked me to do that, I could go, oh, do you know, you're right. So that is a forward movement, helpful conversation. And we talked on
it's a good one.
Yeah, on an earlier episode about the energy. So when I left friends like that, they made me feel energized, because I could go, it was almost like it instilled a bit of confidence back into my world in a way that I didn't know how to do on my own. And that in itself is a gift from somebody else to the inside.
Yeah, I think that's
and it's now what I bring to other people, or try to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think you can do that probably with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are you? It could be with anything, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have said something that I use now is, when you say to somebody, how are you? And people say, I'm fine. I think I'm fine is the most overused words in the English language. I don't want to hear what's fine. Okay, tell me, how are you really feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise
or don't ask. I mean, if you then know,
yeah, I mean, obviously,
could be the default answer. Don't ask. You know, ask
just say it's lovely to see you.
Yeah,
so you don't have to ask the question. Just it's lovely to see you. Yeah, it doesn't have to have and how are you?
Yeah,
that it's like the word no. No is a sentence in its own right.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's lovely to see you can be a sentence. In its own right.
Because I'm fine doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that is just a pretend sentence that we all say. Right? Yeah. So ask something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. People that are going through separation and divorce want to feel connected to the world, but very often they have probably their own boundaries and are not able to ask. So be proactive, find space to make space for the other person to feel heard and validated and connected, right? Be part of a system.
I think so.
Yeah. And just one last thing, so
okay.
Don't be offended if they push you away.
Don't be offended if you push away.
Because sometimes, you really want to help, but that person's not ready.
Okay, good. Then push away. It just probably means no, thank you.
They're not ready.
No, push away.
At that point in time.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you just say, oh, well, she doesn't want my help anymore. So, I'm not going to ask again.
Don't use that as a reason not to.
Yeah, it's not personal. It's not personal.
Yeah. Okay. Like, subscribe. The next time we come on, we'll be in our
your own countries. You can't leave.
So let's just meet in London the next year.
Yeah. Good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my arms are too short.
Goodbye. And please subscribe. Comment if you wish, if you have any questions we'd like to pick up on. Thank you very much. And all the best.
Bye.
Bye.